This is Congressman French Hill, and if there's one thing I love to do, it's read. I grew up with a mother and a grandmother that taught me to read, and I loved reading with them when I was a little boy. And of course, now I serve in Congress, where I spend a lot of time reading, I can assure you. And I represent Little Rock, Arkansas, and Central Arkansas in the U.S. House of Representatives. One of my favorite things to do as a hobby, besides reading, is being outdoors, hiking, canoeing, fishing, being out in the mountains of Arkansas. And so today, it's a real treat for me to read with you Lucky to Live in Arkansas by Kate Jerome, who is from Arkansas. And it's about this cool family of foxes and how they develop their whole child's life and tell it right here in the state of Arkansas. And what's neat about this book is you get to tell your life story, the things you like to do, and you can essentially make your own easy to do story about yourself and growing up. And this beautiful illustrations are done by Roger Radke. So let's read a little bit of Lucky to Live in Arkansas. Arkansas is home, and I think quite a lot that I'm lucky to live in this wonderful spot. Why is it special? That's easy to see. It's the place that begins the whole story of me. So you get to then put your name and a picture of yourself on this page and how old you are when you first got this book, and what a memory maker this will be. Arkansas roots keep me strong, and it's really quite neat that the place they begin is in my very own street. And so you see Arkansas on the map of the United States and your house, and you can put your address and what it's close to. Southern charm is quite famous, as everyone knows, and the way I speak is the way it shows. My Southern charm is hard to beat. Now, I like to eat, and I know everybody does. I know you do too, and you have favorite things that you like to eat. So Arkansas cooks are skilled, and they can please any guest. No surprise, they think homemade food is the best. How about fried pickles? Do you like fried pickles? Or Arkansas Delta tamales. And then you get to put what you love to eat, and then importantly, what you think you didn't like to eat, but now you do. So for me, when I was a little kid, I hated okra. But now as an adult, I love okra. So, you know, your tastes change. And then I told you I love to be outdoors, and so this is a neat part of Miss Jerome's book. Taking trips to the park makes me want to see more. I have quite a long list of fun things to explore. And she has her Arkansas trip list: the Ozark National Forest, the Arkansas Museum of Discovery in Little Rock, and the Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art up in Bentonville, Arkansas. So then you get to make your list of where you'd like to visit and what's up next on your planning to explore Arkansas. But the best is at the end of the book, you get to put your family tree and list all your Arkansas roots, your parents, your grandparents, your brothers and sisters, and then you get to put a tracing of your hand. And so what Kate Jerome has created is a fantastic way for you to tell your whole life story and to have a treasured memory when you have kids of your own. It's been a pleasure to read with you. Thanks for being a part of the Arkansas book. And now we're going to hear from the author of Lucky to Live in Arkansas by Kate Jerome.
Hello, I am Karen O'Connell, coordinator of the Arkansas Center for the Book, an affiliate of the Library of Congress and its Center for the Book. The Arkansas Center at the Arkansas State Library is honored to participate in this congressional reading project with Representative French Hill of Arkansas's 2nd District. The Arkansas Center works with the Library of Congress to encourage reading and to support libraries and literacy throughout our state. We also promote Arkansas's unique literary heritage. Thanks to Congressman Hill for joining us in this program, and to our author, Kate Jerome, whose Lucky to Live in Arkansas is one of Congressman Hill's favorite books for young people. Kate Jerome is a publishing executive and an award-winning author of more than 100 children's books, including Who Was Amelia Earhart in the New York Times best-selling biography series. Ms. Jerome is an expert in intergenerational communication. Here with me from the Arkansas State Library are Ms. Ruth Hyatt, Youth Services Coordinator, and Ms. Jennifer Chilcote, our State Librarian of Arkansas. We thought we would ask Ms. Jerome questions about her book, as well as her own engagement in reading activities. And first, here are some words from Jennifer.
Thank you, Karen. I'd like to bid a warm welcome from the Arkansas State Library to everyone watching today. We thank Congressman Hill for his interest in this program and his wise selection of Kate Jerome's Lucky to Live in Arkansas. Lucky to Live in Arkansas showcases two of our very favorite things here at the Arkansas State Library: books and Arkansas. It lets kids create a book that is unique to them, one that encourages them to enjoy the sense of place that comes when you know what makes your home special and unique. So now we have a few questions for Ms. Jerome. Thank you for being here. So before you talk too much about your book, could you tell us a little bit about your interest in Arkansas?
Oh, absolutely. I'm first of all delighted to be here. I have great respect for all the work that all of you are doing. And I thank Congressman Hill too for his acknowledgement of this book. It's really very kind. I wanted you all to know that I was actually born in a neighboring state in Biloxi, Mississippi. So appreciate the beautiful southern charm of states like Arkansas. I did grow up in the Midwest since my children were born in Chicago, but before I left for the West Coast to do my fellowship at Stanford, I lived for 20 years in Charleston, South Carolina as well. Most recently. So I'm familiar with the, beautiful scene of the azaleas in the spring and the smell of those, warm, balmy nights. And of course, mosquitoes the size of hummingbirds,
Yes.
that kind of thing. But I think what intrigues me most about your state is the natural beauty. I'm a biologist by trade and I'm a science geek, and I just love the topography. The land from the northern section with the lovely Ozark National Forest down to the Gulf Plateau. It's just beautiful scenery. I've had the pleasure of actually visiting several times, and I've been to Bentonville, and one of my favorite places, which I do mention in the book, is the Crystal Bridges Museum of American Art. That's just a fantastic place. I could spend hours and days, in fact have, just walking around the exhibits and even outside of the building. It's just beautiful. So I'm so impressed with the natural beauty of the state. What a precious resource.
Yes, we had one of our staff members recently moved here from Mississippi, where you were born. And after she had been here for a few weeks, she said, "Y'all are really serious about this natural state thing." Because there is a little bit of everything here. So thank you for appreciating our state the way that we appreciate it.
It was a pleasure to write this book. Some states are very easy to write about.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, I think I'm next. And as the coordinator of youth services, I believe with my whole heart that you are never too young or too old to be read to. And I believe that the best way to share your reading, what you're reading, and everything, the state, everything you love, is snuggled up with someone that you love. So could you talk a little bit about intergenerational reading as it moves through your Lucky to Live In series?
Oh, I'm delighted that you asked that question. I'm so devoted to developing these conversations between generations, is how I put it. Today Americans are living longer than ever, and the kids born today are likely to live, the majority of them, to old age, and that could be over 100 years old. So with these century-long lives, what's exciting about it is that we're going to have 4 and 5 generations alive at the same time. It won't be uncommon for that. And I think we need to tap the strength of both generations. So, older people can supply the emotional support and the sense of worth that kids need, and younger people supply the sense of purpose and relevance that older people are craving. And it's these conversations together that provide the mutual benefit. And I love to say that, you know, reading opens doors, many doors for children, but I think it's the conversations that give them the courage to walk through those doors. So I was really delighted when Arcadia decided that they'd like to publish this series with me, because what we wanted to do is create a tool for parents and grandparents to use to talk to their children. So as you mentioned, we get to find a sense of self. Children start to actually fill out these books. They can actually write in this book. This is one book that you are allowed to write in. And we're recording their impressions of their friends and where they want to visit. And we're reminding them of who the heroes are in their own state and what values they might see in heroes around them. And then toward the end of the book, we actually ask them to make a time capsule with the adults, and then hopefully they'll bury it away for however long they can last, whether it's 6 weeks or 6 years, and then pull it out and again treasure the book together. But I think what's interesting is I watch parents and grandparents read these books together with their favorite kids. The adults start telling stories. So a child might say, oh, this is my friend and this is what we did. And that will remind the adult of a story. Oh, this was my favorite friend when I was your age. And the conversation begins. And that's the passing of the knowledge. That's the tradition. That's the strength of family and the emotional bond that's developed with this read aloud.
That's wonderful.
Well, thank you. I think that I might have the next question, and it was great to sort of hear about the creation of this series and the connections that the sort of tactile connections as well that you make with books and with reading. Your books really encourage conversations about reading, and I was wondering if there's a book or two that you enjoy reading aloud yourself, or that you might enjoy having read aloud to you.
I'm really glad you asked that question, Karen. When I was in, I think it was 5th or 6th grade, I can't remember quite which grade, our teacher announced that she was going to read aloud to us after lunch every day. And we understood that it was sort of her way of calming us down from recess and the chatter and getting us back into the learning mode. But we also thought, oh, that's for babies. We're cool 6th graders. We don't need to be read to. But she started reading us Winnie the Pooh,
That's a great
Milne's beautiful series, and we were captivated, and we couldn't wait when we came in from lunch to settle down and listen to more. And she let us put our head on the desk and we just listened and we imagined, and I really appreciated that. I also loved, when I was a little kid, Dr. Seuss books, because I'm just addicted to rhyme. My kids tease me that I speak in rhyme sometimes. And the classics like Charlotte's Web, I love to read those to children. And being a science geek, I think the latest books that are coming out are wonderful. I think If You Give a Mouse a Cookie with All the Cause and Effect is hilarious. So that's Laura Numeroff's book. I love that one.
And Ruth is nodding vigorously.
Yeah, good. I'm sure you guys have some titles you'd like to add to this, but I think the main point is that if people understood how important reading aloud is to children, it not only develops those cognitive skills, vocabulary development and the like, but it also develops these emotional bonds between the reader and the listener. And, I really appreciate that. And it really invests time in children, which is what you guys do every day to encourage their reading. And, I must confess, this sounds really nerdy. I'm sure it will to all of our young listeners. But when I was little, there was such a thing as Encyclopedia Britannica volumes in my house. And I literally used to go into a little cubbyhole and start reading the encyclopedia from A to Z. And a lot of my encyclopedias were actually out of date at the time. We didn't have the digital versions, but it didn't matter because I was addicted to nonfiction as well as fiction. So I learned all of these interesting facts and about things and people. And I swear that's something that got me interested in science to pursue too. So I actually read the encyclopedias when I was little.
Well, that is awesome. I'm a fan of encyclopedia reading myself, and actually how the history of them and how the publishing history of encyclopedias has really sort of influenced publishing throughout the history of publishing. So I'm so glad to hear about that. Is there any book in general that really had an influence on you or your life?
Yeah, I will say that, again, when I was probably in 4th or 5th grade, I read Louisa May Alcott's Little Women. And I was enamored with the character Jo because she struggled to become, and eventually did become, a writer. And I just thought that was just such a marvelous profession. And I was torn between science and writing. And lucky for me, I've been able to do both. Writing science books for kids is one of the things that I love to do. So I'm actually a big believer that books can influence an entire life course.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. Is there anything else that you would like to sort of leave our readers with about your series of books, about Lucky to Live in Arkansas, or any other topic you'd like to speak about?
Well, I just would like to encourage everyone to keep those conversations going between generations. And if we can provide the tools, and that's what I'm devoted to, developing more intergenerational products for grandparents and kids and parents and kids to share. I think that gift of time is something to be treasured and can be inspiring and helps kids, as I say, have the courage to go through those doors that reading opens. So thank you all for all the efforts that you do every day. And thank you to all the parents and grandparents and babysitters and aunts and uncles and everyone who really puts an effort into taking time to read to children.
Well, that's wonderful. I'm going to switch back our view so we can see all of us now together. And I just want to say how wonderful it has been chatting with you today. And we appreciate your time with us and hearing about you talk about reading and the books that you love, and to hear you talk about Lucky to Live in Arkansas. So thank you very much from the Arkansas Center for the Book and from the State Library of Arkansas.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure.